I don't particularly think there is a meaning to life, and that's why I think you should find your own meaning. At the age of 21, I don't think I have the complete meaning sussed out, but there are certain things that I enjoy and certain things that make me want to create music, you know, friends, family, relationships, food, like good music. You know, these are things that give me meaning and give me a way of just wanting to create something. So I naturally take them, I grab them, run with them and turn them into ideas and make something out of them. They inspire me. But yeah, I don't particularly think there is a meaning to life. I think life in general, you are put on this planet to try and find one, you know. Not everyone does, but so I guess that essentially is the meaning, to go out there and try and find your own. A few years ago I would have said, you know, everything music related, you know, I live and breathe music and that's the only thing I'm interested in. As I get older, you know, I fall in love with cooking more, just simple little hobbies like watching films and bits and pieces. Like in the last year or two, since like I moved to London as well, like I've really just found my feet with like the simpler things in life and just taking my time. 5 or 6 years ago, all I'd be interested in was like staying in my room and creating stuff all the time. And now I find that in order to create, I have to go out and, you know, like I said previously, just live a little bit more to make those songs more rich. Like lyrically, I think I've really improved because I've actually experienced more. I think that was a problem with like my first album, is that a lot of those songs I wrote just in my room and from my imagination, which can obviously be a great thing sometimes, but other times, like when you're really just burnt out and in your room and there's nothing else really going on, that can be quite hard. So yeah, like the last couple of years I've really enjoyed just like living again and doing things and growing up and translating that into music. But yeah, also I get existential just coming home from tour. Like I'll look down from the airplane and just be like, damn, like I don't know, like time is passing by, like all these gigs have just happened. I don't know, it's just like, where am I, what am I doing next? Like I don't know, 22, like the end of 22 when we came off tour, I was just like, what's gonna happen now? And you know, I moved out, I made this next album, but like I don't even know if my brain was even prepared for any of that stuff. I just remember being like, my brain was just like overloaded. I was like, I'm about to be 20, like my life is about to change, and you know, all of these things, and that obviously like fueled a lot of like my creative decisions for like this new album. So you know, existentialism, if you channel it the right way, can be all right. Sometimes it's really good to kind of spark creativity in a weird way. My girlfriend, my family, my friends, just like simple walks, being at the beach, flowing water, like just being at like a river or a lake, just like the peacefulness of that, like familiar smells, going to the cinema, you know, obviously all things music as well, watching gigs, playing gigs, making music, being in the studio. It's changed me in many ways. I mean, firstly, like I was saying, for the experience of just being in London, you meet a lot of new people that like influence your songwriting. Like just down the road is like a great pub that I see lots of like songwriters like go drinking, and we like catch up and talk about things. You know, obviously London is like the hub for all things music, so it's just a very inspiring place to be. But also there's kind of like this industrial sound to London that I really like, and I've been working with a lot of producers in London that are just like incredible, and I've written a lot of songs that just feel really industrial and very Londony to me. There's a song on the new album called Beckham, and it just has a very particular London feel to it, so it's really influenced the way I make music and the way that I compose it, and like working with new producers in London has been really fun as well. You know, I've been coming here for like 4 or 5 years to work on stuff, but I've like really found my feet with the right producers that I really trust now. And on like this next album that I've been like making, I think it's really evident that like, I don't know, I just really click with these people. So I kind of see it as my like London album. I'm influenced both by urban and rural, like, you know, equal. Just like before I moved to London, there was a lot more of like kind of I don't know, even with like my side project Aerial Days, I was making more Aerial Days music because it was like very folky and very good to like make back at home in Bedfordshire, because it was just like really pretty and very summery and very nice, and you know, you could just sit by the river with a guitar and just like make those kind of songs quite naturally. And it's the same for being in London. When you're here every day, you just end up kind of making, I don't know, like when you're in the city, I make very grey songs, whereas when I'm like, you know, in like South, there's lots of like beautiful parks and things, and like, I don't know, I just end up being really inspired by that, especially when it's like nice weather, and I'm just influenced by like the producers that I work with that have that particular kind of grit to the way they record and stuff, because I don't know, there's just a certain atmosphere and sound when you record in London, if you work with the right people. So I don't think I've ever really particularly been in the spotlight. There was a small period of time in like 2020, but it was all online, so that was really weird, because like there was no gigs or anything, so the spotlight was just this kind of ersatz online kind of amalgamation of just texts and tweets and social media and just everything pinging off online, and that was very overwhelming. And obviously you face this kind of necessary evil like hate and criticism, and you have to just remember it's a necessary evil. That's the hardest part, you know, just facing any kind of like nasty, mean comments. But you know, normally when you get those, it means you're doing something good, because you're getting the exposure to even be out there in the first place, and people, you know, you can't please everyone in the first place. So, you know, obviously hate and criticism are two very different things. Like, I'm always welcome to criticism, as long as like you're not just trying to put down an artist for the sake of it. And if you put yourself out there, you know, that's bound to happen. So I'd say that's kind of the hardest part about, you know, whenever you put out a new release, or even, you know, that just, you're constantly online, you know, like once you put yourself out there, you're constantly at the surface. It has its peaks, you know, there's a trajectory of fame, but someone can leave you a nasty comment at any time, but you kind of just have to shut off from that and just keep going and just run with your ideas, and don't let any of those people stop you, because like, you know, they're just sat at home on their computers just being a dick, and you're like actually making and creating music and putting yourself out there, and you're making valuable art. So I'm generally not like a TikTok or like social media kind of person nowadays, and because of that, because of TikTok and obviously all just social media being the main kind of way of viewing someone's personality nowadays, it's quite hard for me to actually be able to like translate myself as a person into that, like digitally. So I just feel like half the time it's really hard for people to know who I am in the first place. And I'd love for people to just know, like, you know, like I'm very easygoing, like I just like do my thing in the studio, like just hang out with my mates, like I don't know, I'm not very much of a tryhard until it's like being a perfectionist in the studio. But also, I guess, just like, I don't know, there isn't that much to me, I suppose. Like, I'm a very just like simple person, but also like I guess like I wish they knew that, I don't know, that I write most of my songs and record most of the instruments and stuff. I don't think people normally, I think, like, especially a few years ago, people kind of just had this idea of me just being a singer, and I often get called a singer, and I'm like, well, that's like the last thing I'd ever call myself. I just want to be respected as someone that can write a good song, you know, translate their feelings well, you know, respected as someone that can, you know, hear songs in their head completed, you know, and take them and turn it into, you know, studio recording. You know, I want to be remembered primarily as a producer and a songwriter, as someone, you know, that creates and just makes things from their head, and someone that challenges themselves. And, you know, I don't want to be famous, I want to be respected, and that's all I could really ever ask for. That would be lovely, you know, if I inspire future musicians to, you know, do the same thing, which I already have. So like, I've half accomplished what I've set out for. But with the album as a whole, I want people to see it as a bridge to, you know, to what I'm about to do next, you know. I think it's a really good shifting point, and I think it's the best album to really describe me so far, because I think I have quite a extended palette of musical, you know, tastes and sounds, and I'm always trying to open that further. So with this album, I think the idea was, you know, take 11 songs, we've got 40 minutes, how much can I really push into this, and how much can I, you know, kind of make it feel like an album, but also how many good melodies and how many meaningful lyrics can I kind of put together. So this album was all about that. It was about just trying to create something, you know, while you're young. It's, you know, every time I do this, like even at 21, I'm still young. It's like I still want to just challenge myself while I can at this age, and then, you know, look back at it and be like, at least I gave it a go and tried. And, you know, oh, you know, that album had like a few really great songs that I'm really proud of, and at the very least I already know that, you know, at least half of that album I'm so proud of the fact that I just put it together, and those ideas came from my head, and I played, you know, like 10 instruments on the album and stuff, and you know, if that's the best it will ever get to, then I'm just happy that I at least did that. And I wrote some songs that I genuinely think are perfect to me. Like I consider like Radio Soul and Beckham and like Run to Tomorrow and a few other songs, I genuinely find them like, I don't know, I made them because there was a gap missing from songs that sounded like that to me, and all I wanted to do was fill that gap. Not for anyone else, but just for me. The whole reason I've ever recorded stuff is just because there's a gap missing, there's a sound, and it's not an original sound, but it's an amalgamation of things, like just so many different sounds, so many people that I love listening to. So it's about making a hybrid, just a fusion of that, and going forward with it and filling that gap and making music for me that turned into making music for other people, which turned into something bigger than I could have ever imagined. So I'm just very happy that this album is a continuation of that. It's a bridge to drive over to the next destination, and you know, that's all that matters. And if it connects with people, that's great. If it doesn't connect with people, that's fine as well, but it connected with me, so that's why it's coming out.